Reggie Wright Jr. says that Suge Knight lied about giving Tupac $1 million in a briefcase and a death row chain after he got out of prison. Also, Reggie Wright Jr. doesn't know the day that Tupac was released from prison, and I have proof that he will tell you anything, hoping that you believe it, knowing that you won't go do your own research to find out the truth. And 3, Reggie Wright insists that Keisha Moore's Tupac's ex-wife called Suge Knight to ask him for money because Tupac didn't have any numbers or money on his books while in prison. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend, and also, like I always say, if you're new to the channel and you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and hit that bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. What I have for you today is a bombshell of information that I'm sure if you've been watching my channel as of recent, you've seen me do a succession of videos in regards to Reggie Wright Jr. and the lies and misinformation that he's been giving out. Like I said, once again, I've never mentioned Reggie Wright's name until he mentioned my name. Never really knew about him or anything like that. He felt the need to attack me based on the truth and the facts that I had been given in regards to certain situations that I was privy to in regards to Tupac Shakur. And so after that, he decided to get in jealousy mode and try to come for me. But what I have for you today is information in regards to the credibility of Reggie Wright and the information that he's been giving out. And I'm going to start it like this. This video right here in particular, I'm going to point to you 3 things. First, I'm going to start with, I'm going to start you backwards. I'm going to move you backwards, then I'm going to bring you forward, right? Okay. If you go to approximately 11 minutes and 18 seconds, basically up until 12 minutes and 21 seconds, you will hear Reggie Wright basically let you know and confirm that Suge Knight, and he basically says it out of his mouth, that Suge Knight lied about the fact that he gave Tupac $1 million in the briefcase and the death row chain after Tupac got out of prison. These are facts. And what I want to do is I want to bring you up on the point in where Reggie Wright couldn't deny the fact that he was informed about this information as of recent, right? As you see, this video right here was done and published on April 13th, 2022. Just a few weeks before, you will see that the video involving Wallow and Gilly on their channel, $1 million worth of game, and where Suge Knight actually mentions giving Tupac $1 million in the briefcase and jewelry and a bunch of other stuff. Like I said, at 11 minutes and 18 seconds and until 12 minutes and 21 seconds, you will hear Reggie Wright say that that's simply not true. You understand what I'm saying? So now, once again, also in this timeline from 11:18 to 12:21, you will hear Reggie Wright basically say where he would put himself in the hero position, if you will. He said him and Kevin Hackey basically went out and picked Tupac up from the airport. It was Tupac, Big Sight, and someone else, right? But then he proceeded to say that he went to the studio and where he dropped off Tupac, but he did not enter the studio. But somehow, some way, he was able to tell us what happened inside of the studio, right? So first he says, you know, Tupac and them went in there, they was dancing. He was like, oh, no, they wasn't dancing, but smoking and, you know, listening to music and doing all of these other various things, right? But then he quickly goes into how he was not inside the studio, right? And somehow was outside of the studio, probably on the phone trying to line something up. Once again, if you're listening very carefully, how do you know what they were doing inside of the studio if you weren't inside of the studio, number one? And number two, how is it that you could say that Tupac didn't record any songs that night when you weren't in the studio? Once again, it's believe me, Reggie Wright Jr., because I am the one that you should believe, even though I haven't presented you with any informations and facts as to why you should believe me. You understand? And listen closely. When he admits to the fact that Suge Knight lied about the suit, the briefcase, and the death row chain, and giving Tupac the chain, notice how he doesn't use Suge Knight's name, but he imputes Daz's name in regards to that, right? And like I said, but he doesn't tell you whether Daz was in the studio that night. But he imputes Daz's name and said some other people said in regards to that, and the briefcase and the death row chain thing wasn't true. Now, the person who would be responsible for the briefcase, as we know from the Gillian Wallow interview, would be Suge Knight. He said it, right? But see, the reason why Reggie Wright doesn't mention Suge Knight's name is because Reggie knows that Suge Knight just recently sold the rights to his life to a film. And Reggie is hoping that Suge Knight would have someone star as him. You see? So he's really playing the buddy up game, like I said. But what he doesn't understand when he says that, right, is that he basically exposed the fact that Suge Knight lied about giving Tupac $1 million in a briefcase and a death row chain when Tupac was freed from prison. Now, let me walk you back a little bit. We're going to go to 3 minutes and 31 seconds in this video to approximately 4 minutes and 3 seconds. That's 3:31 to 4 minutes and 3 seconds. Here, Reggie Wright says that basically Tupac's ex-wife, Keisha Morris, called up Suge and asked him for some money to put on Tupac's books. But Reggie Wright was basically trying to insinuate that Tupac didn't have any money on his books, and Tupac was going through it and having a rough time, and so on and so forth. You know, basically he's giving you secondhand information in regards to what he basically says that he knows and understands. But you got to be careful to listen. Once again, he gives you this information and then he quickly says, well, I don't really know how that went down or how, you know, what happened with that. But I do know that I was the person that went and told the guy, John, at Death Row, as to getting Keisha's information so she could get the $15,000. Now, when Reggie initially made this statement, I went and we had a back and forth in the comment section, right? And I questioned him. I said, well, you know, you inferred that Tupac didn't have no money on his books. And then I presented the link to the video that I did in regards to Tupac's commissary receipt, right? Now, once again, when Reggie was referring to this, he was referring to the date in and around September sometime, you know, doing the correspondence and so on and so forth. But you got to understand, I then presented the commissary receipt from May of 1995, right? This is 2-3 months before Reggie claims that this conversation happened in regard to some $15,000 being put on Tupac's books, correct? So now, that proves that Reggie Wright was lying. You basically tried to insinuate that Tupac didn't have no money on his books. He was having a rough time. You know, it was this, that, and the other, and so on and so forth. And that his then wife called you and called Suge and asked him for money. And Suge put the money on his books, which Reggie Wright had no factual proof or information. Once again, he was just talking about a situation that he had got secondhand information about. He doesn't know whether Suge put money on Tupac's books or not. But what I can show you is the factual the facts of the matter in which Tupac, here's the commissary receipt that he had money to buy a commissary, that he had money on his books already. Right? Once again, the credibility of what somebody's saying is very important. You can't just come out and say something and not back it up with facts. But evidently, that's what Reggie Wright has been relying on, because he knows that you won't do the research, or he knows that you don't really know anything about these situations. And basically, he's just saying anything. And the saying anything, I'm going to get into that, and I'm going to show you where this is just egregious. And somebody who was supposed to be as close as he claimed to be to the situation, or ran death row at one time, but we now know that that's not true based on the prior video, is this right here. I need you to go to 1 minute and 7 seconds, right? And then I need you to approximately 1 minute and 26 seconds of this video, right? And where Reggie Wright Jr. basically says that Tupac Shakur, just saying anything, once again, credibility is zero as far as I'm concerned, and believing what Reggie Wright Jr. said. He basically says that Tupac Shakur got out of jail on October 22nd. Or or 23rd, because he don't really know. Or better yet, in him not knowing, not doing the research to find out what it really was, he just spewed that information out there. And notice the interviewer, his comrade John, doesn't know the difference either. Doesn't know the difference enough to correct him, because once again, they haven't really done any research. Or better yet, he shouldn't have to do any research. He should know that. He was around, wasn't he? Right? So now, let me give you this. So with that being the fact that he would say something like that, let me give you the truth. Tupac Shakur was released from prison on October 12th, 1995. Do you know how I know? Right? Not only do I know that based on the time period that he was out in the conversation that we had, but I know that because we were at the Hollywood Athletic Club on the night that he met Faith on the 18th. So Reggie basically said the 22nd or the 23rd, right? That's almost 11 days out past, the time that he was initially actually 10 days if you want to go with the 22nd, and 11 days if you want to go with the 23rd, according to what Reggie Wright is saying. But once again, this is proof and fact that Reggie Wright is just spewing out a bunch of garbage and information that is not based on facts. Like I told you before, you go to the 11:18 partner video, he makes statements about what Tupac and them actually did in the studio, but admits quickly after that he wasn't in the studio to actually witness what they did. So how do you know? Once again, pay attention. Then you go to the 3:31 mark, and he talks about, the Tupac allegedly receiving $15,000 from Suge, in which Reggie Wright does not know whether that happened or not. He cannot confirm that because he said it after that. He basically said, well, I don't really know how all of that why would you even talk about it if you don't know? Basically, you just want to say stuff in order to have something to say. Doesn't have to be based on fact, according to Reggie Wright. He'll just say it, and hopefully that you don't have any information contrary to the lies and the misinformation that he's spewing out, right? And then, as a matter of fact, not what I'm saying, the video. You go to the 107 mark to 126, and Reggie Wright basically says that Tupac was let out of jail on the 22nd or the 23rd. He give a damn about the facts. I'm just going to say it. You know what I mean? And if I'm wrong, so what? Y'all keep coming back and listening. You know what I mean? So once again, you have to understand. But the most important part of this video is the part where Reggie tries to use Daz's name in the admission that Tupac did not receive $1 million from Suge Knight in a briefcase, right? And a death row chain. When the only person that could have gave that to Tupac was Suge Knight. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.